Hey, what's up guys? Hardleg Joe here with the profile for my Altergeist Good Trap Toolbox, a twist on the standard Altergeist build which removes generic floodgates and hand traps in favor of a suite of powerful normal traps, which we search out using Trap Trick and Lilith. While it's not the most meta-competitive version of the deck, it is better suited to the chaotic world of online Yu-Gi-Oh!, offering specific outs to just about any crazy deck you could possibly encounter. Now, if you want to see this thing in action, you'll want to check out the main What a Deck videos, linked down in the description. There I'll be playing duels against random opponents and showing off how this works. Otherwise here, I'm just going to be going card by card and explaining what everything does and why we play it. Starting off with our monster lineup, we have 1 Altergeist Courtney, 3 Altergeist Marianne, 3 Lilith, 1 Multifucker, 2 Silky Touch, and 3 Altergeist Keith. Our only spell is 3 copies of Pot of Greed 2, Legend of the Extra Deck, and for traps we're on 2 Spatial Anomalies, 3 Air Forces, 3 Infidel Importance, 2 Dusty Storms, 2 Spanish Inquisition, 2 Manifest Destiny, 2 Winds that I can't seem to find, 3 Tricky Traps, Unprofessional Telemarketers who I'm too pro to call, and 3 Professional Spooning. Our extra deck consists of 3 each of Nightmare Bird, Nightmare Dog, the one good Altergeist link, and 6 different ways to activate Meluseek. The side deck I'll go over in a little bit. So at its very heart, this is an Altergeist deck. If you're completely unfamiliar with them, here are the very basics. This is Multifaker, it's your main playmaker. If it's in your hand and you activate a trap, it summons to the field and it does a lot of crap. Pulls another Altergeist straight out of the deck, usually Sulquidius, it's got a quick effect. Targets 2 cards, one of theirs, 1 Geist, return them to the hand, it's pretty nice. You could send Faker back, do it again next turn, and that's the main Altergeist play you gotta learn. There are of course other plays you'll be making, but don't worry, none of the rest involve rhyming. Now you've got 2 cards to help you get to Multifaker. One is Personal Spoofing, a continuous trap that lets you shuffle 1 Altergeist from your hand or field into the deck, to add 1 Altergeist from your deck to your hand. If you open with this and any other Altergeist card, you can trade that card for Multifaker. And since Faker will be in your hand when the activation of this trap card resolved, you can summon it. Neat. Our other main searcher is this mermaid thing. If it's sent from the field to the graveyard, search an Altergeist monster. This is why we play Link Karibo and the other one. They are both Link 1s that you can summon by sending this to the graveyard. Of course, you'll still need to activate a trap to summon Multifaker during your opponent's turn, but like, more than half the deck is traps, and Lilith can tribute itself or any other dark monster to search a trap from the deck, so you should have access to at least one. Our final 3 of Altergeist is Marionetter. It's got 1600 attack, which is a lot for an Altergeist, and when it's normal summoned, you can set an Altergeist trap from your deck. We have 2 such traps. Personal Spoofing doesn't count because it's not actually an Altergeist card for some reason. The first you can search is Protocol, a continuous trap that says your Altergeist effects cannot be negated. Nice. And also, if your opponent's monster activates an effect, you can send 1 other Altergeist card from your field to the graveyard to negate that effect and destroy that monster. The other trap is essentially Call the Haunted, but for Altergeist, which might not seem so great, but it has a ton of synergy with Silky Quitter over here, who can return it to the hand to bounce something your opponent controls, allowing you to use this over and over and over and over and over again. And yeah, the monster you summoned dies when this leaves the field, but that can actually be kind of helpful. Remember that Keith over here can search something when it dies. Faker summoned something from the deck when it's special summoned, and that won't die even if these 2 leave the field. And while I didn't mention it before, Sulquidius returns a trap from the grave to the hand when it dies. Point is, you can recycle this over and over again while going plus in the process, and since it's technically a normal trap, you can search it out with Lilith and Trap Trick, which is why we play 2 of them. Same with pretty much every other trap in here. If you're unfamiliar with Trap Trick, it says banish a trap from the deck to set another copy of that trap from the deck, and you can activate it this turn, which allows us to search any normal trap, assuming we play at least 2 copies. And that brings us to our toolbox of traps. For choices, I went with Time Space Trap Hole, which stops extra deck cards and pendulums, but especially pendulums. Storming Mirror Force to deal with monsters that can't be targeted or destroyed, or just as a deterrent to attack. Impermanence because it's the best monster negation in the game, and also it can stop spell traps too if you set it properly with Trap Trick. Storm Duster for spell trap removal. Switcheroo in the hopes that I can trade Keith or Almirage for some big boss monster like Red Eyes Dragon and just ruin my opponent's day. And Lost Wind mostly to deal with high attack monsters, but it also negates and it recurs itself, so hey, why not? While I'm talking about Trap Trick targets, I should go over the side deck. It's entirely full of them, the best of which is probably evenly matched, which we would main deck, except Altergeist prefer to go first, and this is a pretty strong go second card. If you know you're going second, you'll want to put this in for sure. We've also got Compulse, which is essentially just a more generic time-space trap hole, except it targets, and it can only send back one card. We've also got Get Out, which is like a double Compulse, but only for extra deck monsters. Memory of an Adversary is non-targeting, non-destruction removal that steals a monster, kind of like Switcheroo, but with fundamental differences. And Witch's Strike is what you break out against other control decks. It says if your opponent negates a summon or the activation of one of your cards/effects, you can nuke their entire field and destroy everything in their hand. Pretty nice. Finally, we just got an extra copy of Duster and Space Time, just in case they happen to be particularly good and you want a third copy. All that leaves to explain then is our remaining two Altergeists. Kunquiri summons itself from the hand to negate an attack while you control an Altergeist card. It can be kind of bricky, kind of sucky in the early game, but you play it because it's awesome late game in combination with Sally. Imagine this, your opponent has two monsters. They attack your Silquidius. You negate one attack by summoning your Centaur, and then you send it back to the hand with Silk to bounce their other monster. Repeat this again next turn, until your opponent realizes they are stuck in an infinite loop of sadness, and they surrender to avoid the haunting existential dread of their own eternity. Our remaining card is Hextia, a Link 2 that gains attack equal to the Altergeist monster it points to, and also it contributes those monsters to negate spell trap cards and effects. I'm explaining Hextia at the end of this profile because summoning Hextia usually means the end of the game. If you can get this along with Protocol and Silquidius and like one or two other Altergeist cards, you usually have a pretty commanding control of the field, allowing it to negate spells, traps, monsters, and bounce cards, all while recurring your resources. Overall, Altergeist can be a little fragile at first, but once you get them going, they can snowball into a force to be reckoned with, especially if they're backed up with a bunch of other powerful traps. Regardless, there's the deck. I hope you liked it. Like the video if you did like it, comment if there's any changes you would make, and subscribe if you want more strange deck profiles. I do one of these every other week. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, good luck, and have fun.